Taxes was feeling unwelcome. Now Taxes is an open door to new TurboTax stores. Meet our experts. They do your taxes, so you can walk out with confidence. Now this is Taxes.
You are listening to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs, so sit back, relax, take your black pill, and enjoy the show.
Good evening, friends. Welcome once again to This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. He's Ben, I'm Hobbs, you're in Clown World. And that insurance ad during the intro was not a sponsored post.
We wish.
Yeah, no shit. But yeah, it seems like every time you're setting the show up and I'm scrolling through Twitter for some last minute notes, you're playing the music in the background and it's 5 or 10 minutes of nothing. And then we go live and it's like, oh, let's throw a commercial in there right at the beginning of the stream and just screw everything up.
I don't know how that works. It happens more often than not, it seems. It must be 5 minutes is a magic number for streaming something
Gotta
like
be.
that on YouTube.
Yeah. But anyways, we're here. And fortunately, for the time being, so is the rest of the world. Subject to change.
Yeah, I mean, the Iran thing's still going on, obviously. Everybody's aware of it. No end in sight.
Yeah.
We have more troops, I guess, on their way over. Somebody was tracking multiple flights of C-17s, which are the big boys.
Yeah, those are the big boys that carry logistics and personnel. I don't know, when you were in, did you ever have to get crammed into a C-17?
I took a ride into some C-130s, but never one of the Galaxies or the Globemasters.
So the C-17s, they're a cargo plane, and they've got these rails in the floor that you can slide pallets onto and then lock them down in the floor. And the Air Force has these palletized airliner seats, but the thing about them is they're so close together, and you're wearing so much shit that your knees are like literally in your chest. Like your feet are off the floor, your knees are in your chest, resting up against the back of the seat behind you so they can cram as many people into it as possible. And I'm a slightly larger than average size guy, and I was uncomfortable. And there are some guys that are just massive brick shit houses of a human being. I don't know how they even got on the plane. But yeah, so depending on what's in those C-17s, we could be seeing a ground invasion fairly soon, especially considering that they're bringing over the weapon systems that are typical of a ground support mission. A Black Hawk helicopter was shot down. An F-15 was shot down, and the pilots were kind of stranded behind enemy lines, but last I heard, I think they both got rescued.
At least one, I know for sure.
There are reports that an F-35 was shot down, but maybe not. If it has, that's indicative of one of two things. Either A, the Iranian air defense systems are much more active and in much better shape than we were originally led to believe, or B, the F-35 is a bigger piece of shit than we initially believed. It could be both.
Yeah.
Honestly, could be both.
I guess the thing that really complicated them getting the F-15 pilots out was they happened to go down in an area with a lot of dissidents, government dissidents. So there was a large presence of Iranian military where they crashed. But I guess it's a double-edged sword for them. That means they also have a large amount of people who are willing to help this guy hide.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Air Force recently just adopted a new, well, not recently, it's been a few years, but I guess this would be about the only opportunity to actually maybe put it into use. The Air Force recently adopted a new survival rifle.
Oh, I saw that thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you remember the old survival rifle was like a break action single shot 22 Hornet and 410 over under or something like that. This new one is,
I've actually got one.
yeah, they're nifty little guns, but you know, if I was stranded behind enemy lines, I'd be more afraid of shooting at people in a defensive scenario than hunting rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
So they adopted a new one. It's an AR based system. It's called the GAU-12. It's like a takedown. You can separate the barrel from the upper receiver, and then you separate the upper receiver from the lower receiver, and you fold the pistol grip and collapse the stock. I mean, if you're into ARs, it's neat, but it really seems to be one of those like,
Sounds like something Caltech would design.
yeah, kind of. I believe the Midwest Industries is the one behind the quick takedown feature. It's one of these things where I'm just like, you could have had a rifle with a short barrel and a folding stock, and basically the exact same thing, but because the AR has a buffer tube, you have to like do all of these like mental gymnastics of re-engineering the entire rifle to fit your profile. It's like if you weapons designers would just quit with this bullshit assumption of start with AR and build from there, you won't have to re-engineer. Yeah, there it is right there. It's like you won't have to re-engineer the entire core operating system of the rifle around a bunch of proprietary parts. Because I can see, like, if you wanted to use like the common, you're trying to get as much parts commonality for like logistical
Right.
reasons. But if you're taking a look there, the upper receiver is different, the barrel's different, the handguard is different, the pistol grip is different. You get your buttstock, buffer tube, and lower receiver and fire control parts, other than the pistol grip, are essentially just bone stock military issue. But it's like everything else in there is proprietary or rigidly attached to a proprietary piece.
Right.
And, you know, meanwhile, you can get virtually every other self-loading rifle in existence that isn't based around the AR-15 is capable of having a side folding stock and a short barrel. You'd basically accomplish the same thing without having to put together an erector set in the middle of a battlefield. So,
Man, there was something at SHOT Show. It was like a trifold rifle.
shotgun.
Was it a shotgun?
Yeah, it was a shotgun that it broke in half like a normal shotgun, and then the buttstock swiveled down, or maybe it was a rifle.
I think
Yeah, it
it
might have
was a
been.
shot.
I think it was
I
a
don't know.
bolt action rifle. Yeah, and it
It
turned
looks
into like
fucking cool though.
a triangle or something. And yeah, you know, takedown rifles and folding rifles, they're nifty from a design standpoint, and they are nifty from an engineering standpoint. But I mean, the practical uses of them are just like very, very, very niche case scenario.
Yeah, the main thing with that one from SHOT Show, the guy just whipped it and like,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool. But yeah, getting off topic there. So yeah, the Air Force guy, they're still. I just looked. They're still looking for one of them supposedly. I'm gonna assume the guy's safe and hiding in somebody's hut. If
Yeah, but
nothing's come out at this point.
yeah, because you know, if the Iranians had him, they'd be having a hostage video and tap dancing on social media about it.
If they were smart, they just give him a hot meal and send him on his way. And
Remember how nice we treated you. Now go on, get.
yeah, win some points in the public eye that way. While we're can't seem to get accurate data, and we're blowing up girls' schools.
Girls' schools, bridges,
I think the bridge is on purpose.
Yeah, that was on purpose. The desalination plants, power plants, all that other stuff is on purpose.
And And it seems like some insider stuff is leaking out. Have you seen this? They have the internet shut off, but it seems like the country is maybe falling apart at the seams at this point. They're having a hard time controlling the populace.
Well, that was kind of the original plan, was to maybe make things so chaotic there that the resistance forces, which are a thing and have been a thing for a long time, but were just kind of held down. The hope of them, rising up and overthrowing their shackles. But I don't know. Iran seems to have the security situation pretty well locked down.
Well, and it seems like we're kind of getting into the same thing when we were at war in Afghanistan. Like every week, they're killing some head of some agency. It's like how many heads of agencies are there? They're just rolling out. Oh, we killed all. Like, what did Trump have today? Regime's top military brass eliminated in strike today. So okay,
Yeah, the people with any recognized authority to do any negotiations, the second they seem to want to negotiate, they magically catch a missile.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. Once you've completely here's the thing. I think this country was probably going to end up falling apart anyways for anybody tracking what's going on with the water situation in Tehran. I mean, you can't move nine. You can't have 9 million people run out of water, and not, especially in your capital, and not expect your country to collapse. But now that we've managed to put our finger in it, we're going to seem like we have some sort of responsibility on the world stage for what happens.
Yeah, people are going to die of thirst, die of hunger, and not just in Iran either. Without the uh, natural gas and its derivative nitrogen fertilizers flowing, there's going to be food crises all over the world, energy crises as well, in places like South Korea and Japan are already like, what the hell, man? This is where we get our oil from. Not necessarily from Iran, but from countries that utilize the straits in order to get their energy through there. And yeah, the thing about the water that really just kind of bugs me the most is like this whole situation, the war, the saber rattling, all of it could have been put aside if Iran and Israel came to some kind of an agreement over water, because Israel is the absolute top dog when it comes to water desalination technology. And they could have extended an olive branch. And if the Iranians would have put their pride to the side and accepted it, could have been like, listen, we've had our differences, but your people are dying of thirst. You're running out of water. Your agriculture is on the brink. We have the technology to help you. You have the energy reserves that can be sold in order to pay for this technology. Let's cut a deal and let's try to move forward as friends. But instead, they just want to blow up Gaza, blow up southern Lebanon, and now blow up Iran. Tel Aviv is catching more missiles than they're intercepting. And this stupid 3,000 year sand war is coming to a head.
Well, and the stupid thing about it is it's become obvious that Iran was skimping on a lot of things and just building a shitload of missiles and drones for the last decade, which is kind of what Israel and our government has been saying that they were doing. But it seems like a bit of a Ouroboros here of they're building all these missiles and drones because they didn't want to get invaded, but Israel and the West, or Israel and the U.S. decided to invade them because they were getting all these missiles and drones.
Yeah, kind of the chicken and egg scenario.
And it's become kind of obvious. I mean, I don't know if it would have been their goal or not, if they had increased their stockpiles of drones and missiles, they really could have held that whole region hostage through the Strait of Hormuz at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And now we'll
Well, they
never
could have
know if
done.
that's what they were going to do, though.
Well, they could have done it at any time.
Yeah.
The straits are so vulnerable that if if the objective was to close the straits rather than close the straits as a strategy, then they would have done it a long time ago. You know, the second that they got these Shahed drones off the ground and have long distance artillery, because a conventional artillery piece can strike anything within, from one shore to the other across that narrowest strait, let alone guided missiles and unidirectional attack drones. So if the idea was to close the strait, they could have done it years and years ago with what they had, and then just kind of backfill as they go. You know, they didn't need to build up this massive stockpile of drones and artillery missiles and then close it down. So it's pretty obvious that the goal was not to close the straits. Closing the straits would have been a retaliatory tactic in the event that like what happened has happened.
Yeah. Oh, we have some comments over here. Just Jared. Yeah, but then Bibi wouldn't have his war and his trial wouldn't and he wait then he wouldn't have had his war and would have had his trial and he would have been thrown in prison. Yeah, that's the whole.
Yeah.
Tucker went into that one pretty deep.
Yeah,
He had a guest. He just had another guest on who had footage of Bibi's interrogation, and that was pretty disgusting. I don't know if you caught that one.
I haven't seen that one yet, but I caught some online discussion about it.
Not a good look for Bibi. I have a proposal to fix this whole thing through white supremacists. Hear me out, guys. Hit us with your proposal, Will. We're listening. He also commented they have an infinite stock of supreme leaders. Apparently, that's
Yeah,
the way
I saw
it seems like this goofy shit in the Middle East goes. You just rotate up the next guy.
Have you ever seen that copy pasta of the guy just like feeding shelter cats to coyotes?
No.
Oh, you haven't seen that one?
Uh-uh.
Well, there's this copy pasta where it says my neighbor goes and adopts cats at the shelter, and he was complaining about how they always lose the cat. And I said, well, what happens when you lose the cat? And he goes, well, we just go to the shelter and buy a new one. And I said, well, it seems to me like you're just feeding shelter cats to the coyotes. And his daughter started crying. And so I saw one that was the same. It was like J.D. Vance was complaining about how the negotiators in Iran kept getting assassinated. And I asked him, well, what happens when you lose a negotiator? And he says, well, we just find a new negotiator and send all of his information to Mossad. And I said, it sounds to me like you're just feeding negotiators to Israel. And Tulsi Gabbard started crying.
Yeah. Israel really has no interest to end it at this point until Iran's obliterated, I guess, is what their goal would be.
I don't think obliterated. I think that fractured chaos and sectarian civil war is the goal. Because if they've got all of these countries around them, you've got Lebanon in the north, and then you've got Iraq on the east, and then you've got Iran to the east of that. You got Syria down to the southeast, and Egypt over on the southwest. You know, if you got all of these countries that are either like Jordan and Egypt have kind of a non-hostility pact with them, you know, decent amount of trade and whatnot, or like Lebanon, Iraq, and Iran are constantly in civil war with each other. Well, they're too busy dealing with themselves to be a threat to you, allegedly. That's the plan, I think. And then like what we're seeing in southern Lebanon right now, they're just saying, yeah, everything to the north up to this river, I forget which river it is, but everything up to this river is ours now. And the people that we displaced are not allowed to move back. And there's going to be like a 5-kilometer demilitarized zone from this river south that nobody is allowed to enter and exit, kind of like the DMZ between North and South Korea. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, Jared commented they want it balkanized.
Exactly.
Get the Kurds up there in one spot, I suppose.
They want Shiites fighting Sunnis, fighting Kurds, fighting Druze, fighting Maronites, fighting Assyrians. They want all those people fighting each other so they don't have to fight. Speaking of not
But
having to fight, did you happen to see the little note that they said that they would not be committing ground troops of any kind in the event of a U.S. Ground invasion of Iran?
no.
Oh yeah, yeah. They said they would provide limited air support and intelligence support, but in the event that the U.S. commits ground troops in Iran, Israel would be devoting zero ground troops at all. And there's really only two ways that you can spin this. Either one, they're just roping us into their war and having us do their dirty work for them, or two, it's a tacit admission that they are getting their shit pushed in southern Lebanon and can't spare the manpower. Or both.
Yeah, you don't hear much about that one, or all the missiles that are apparently still landing in Tehran or in
Tel
in
Aviv?
Israel. Yeah, Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe this. So Israel's worried this is going to swing into a bigger conflict. I mean, who has the power to push into Israel at this point, though?
Hezbollah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Hezbollah right now is just kind of on the defensive. Maybe we should get John on one of these nights to talk about it. But as of right now, I think that Hezbollah has taken out something like a dozen of their tanks and several hundred of their ground troops in southern Lebanon. They apparently did not learn any of the lessons of the last 25 years or so. See, because Israel's really, really, really good at dropping bombs from aircraft. So what they do is they will soften up an area by bombing it from the air for just basically bomb everything to rubble and then make the rubble bounce. And then they'll send in their ground troops. But the problem with bombing an area to rubble is that ground troops and tanks don't necessarily maneuver very well through urban rubble.
Right.
So they've got to send in a fleet of bulldozers in order to clear a path. Well, the bulldozers are a vulnerable target, and all of the troops that are not moving while they wait for the bulldozer to do their work are also a vulnerable target. And that's apparently what's going on. And the 2006 they tried this shit in southern Lebanon. That happened. 2014 they tried this shit in southern Lebanon. Same thing happened. Now they're trying it again in southern Lebanon, doing the exact same thing, learning zero lessons, and shocker, the same thing's happening again. Right? And when I was deployed, we understood spacing. Like when we would go out on convoys, it would be like leave at least 100 meters between vehicles as you're driving down the road, so that if one of them gets blown up, you're not taking out two vehicles, you're only taking out one. And we even ramped that up a little bit. I was the lead vehicle in our convoys. I was 300 meters ahead of our convoy, and I had a big mine rolling thingy attached to the front of my vehicle, so that if we ran over a mine or a tripwire on a roadside bomb, that it would be tripped 20 feet in front of the vehicle rather than the vehicle itself.
Right.
And as much as I hated that stupid fucking mine roller because it was a maintenance nightmare, it did save our bacon when we did run over an IED one night. So apparently the Israelis don't understand this. And while they're waiting for the bulldozers to clear rubble out, they're just tightly packed together. And then they get hit with mortars and artillery and RPGs and small arms fire, and they get multiple vehicles KIA.
And I mean, to keep going on the Iran thing, it seems like the rest of NATO. Here's what rest of NATO wants nothing to do with this whatsoever. To the point that I thought it was weird they weren't even allowing us to fly over their territory. Have you seen that?
Speaking of lessons learned, they realized the bungle of 2003 in Iraq. So, you know what? I don't care. Good on them. That's the
I don't
right
care if they
choice.
don't want to get in either, but it seems like telling us we can't even fly over their territory is kind of a bit of a fuck you um, to the USA. Whether it's a fuck you at Trump, which I'm hoping it has the unintended effect of causing us to finally get the fuck out of NATO.
I think that is definitely a possibility. But at the
I
same
mean,
time, the rest of NATO has said that if the U.S. decides it wants to pull out of NATO, then they've got like 48 hours to get all their shit out of their countries. That's Great Britain, Germany, France, Romania, Italy, Spain. Basically every country in Europe has a U.S. base or two,
yeah.
which I wouldn't mind them at all. Bring them home and put those troops to work
Right.
here.
308 supremacist got back. I guess his hear me out was nukes. I would let Israel do that. I don't think we want any part of that.
No, we don't. The
Um,
Samson option is alive and strong, and I think that in the event that it seems like Iran has the upper hand, then the rest of the world is going to pay the price for that.
yeah, because I mean, the U.S. at this point, the U.S. could just take all their toys and go home, and we'd be fine. We have enough domestic production on fertilizer and fuel. I mean, it'd be expensive, but we're not going to be without it.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the world, it'd kind of be like, well, sorry guys, you're fucked.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we made this mess, and it kind of falls on us to clean the mess up now. But if everybody in Iran that is worth talking to keeps getting assassinated by the Israelis every time they start talking to us, it's kind of hard to fix that mess. And it's also pretty clear that forever war is the objective, not a means to an end.
And for some reason, I don't know what the relationship is between Iran having this going on, but Ukraine has been making some gains in their war. At this point, you got the war going in Ukraine, we got the Iran thing. It's kind of all in the same general area. This seems like a really gay and retarded world war at this point.
Yeah, it's getting to that point. And we've talked about it before. It's like, say that the hostilities in Iran come to a close in a manner that is pleasing to our Israeli overlords. They've already said that Turkey is next on the list. At which point, what what happens when Turkey declares Article 5 of NATO? That's going to open
I
up.
don't understand why is Turkey on their list? Just because there are Muslims there?
I think that the perception is that Turkey is a powerful Islamic country that is connected. It's sort of the bridge between East and West, so it's strategically important geographically, as well as symbolically, it is the seat of the Ottoman Empire. And these Israelis, everything they do is 1,000-year-old blood feuds. None of what they're doing is sprang up in the last 80 years of geopolitics. It all goes back to the age of myth. Prehistory, oral traditions, shit from the Bible, the Torah, the Quran. It's like, all of this is just resolutions to ethnic blood feuds that have been consuming that region for 3,000 years.
Well, I hope we stay the fuck out of a Turkey war. But I mean, Israel doesn't have the manpower to do it.
Right, exactly. This is some biblical Ishmael Isaac shit that they just can't let go. And you're right, Israel does not have the manpower. Hell, Israel doesn't have the manpower to take southern Lebanon right now. They're in. I made the joke, like the Israeli infantry is performing about as well as you would expect a 100% Jewish infantry to perform. Yeah, they can't even take southern Lebanon. They're not going to be able to make a dent in a place like Turkey without the U.S.'s assistance. But with the NATO alliance, that's off the table unless you want to admit that NATO is a farce and is going to be disbanded.
Mm-hmm.
But Turkey doesn't necessarily need NATO membership in order to protect itself because of their connection to the EU. Erdogan, for those who don't know, has about, I believe it's 2 or 3 million displaced persons from the shenanigans that went on in Libya and Northern Africa from, again, our involvement, that he's been holding within his territory, that he's been hanging over the European Union like a sword of Damocles, saying, do what I want or these people are coming to a neighborhood near you.
Yeah.
And for all of their bluster and bullshit of diversity is our strength, the leadership of Europe still has enough wherewithal and self-reflection to realize that 2 to 3 million displaced people from fucking Libya flooding into the EU is not going to end with happy kittens and rainbows the way that they say publicly.
Yeah, and even historically, I mean, even way back, the Jewish army has not been a steamroller. I mean, they had the when they don't have an Ark of the Covenant in front of their military.
Yeah, I wonder where that thing's at.
They didn't really perform too well. But yeah, back to the Ukraine thing, I saw a couple strategic things. They're hitting way into Russia now. They're hitting chip manufacturing plants, which is kind of a big deal because Russia doesn't have any way to rebuild them. These were leftovers from the height of the Soviets, and they were still cranking out, microchips from that era. But they still had a lot of uses for them. They had made do with what they had, and I guess Ukraine hit 2 of the primary microchip processing factories in Russia, and they have enough to, they have enough stockpiled that it's not going to hit them right away, but it's a huge deal. It's going to affect everything because there's so many sanctions on Russia for microchips as it is. I mean, there's still a black market, but Ukraine's just kind of striking stuff at will deep in Russia at this point, it seems.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the downsides of having everything of importance right there on your western border in a country that's the size of several continents. For all of the other stupid shit that they got up to, the Soviets were actually pretty smart when they made those isolated factory towns out in the middle of Siberia that were like literally hundreds or thousands of miles away from anything else and connected just with a rail line.
Yeah, and these are the ones they're hitting, the ones that they stuck back. I mean, they've got some super long range drones, I guess, that are penetrating deep. And I don't know. I'm curious what happens if it seems like Putin feels he's getting backed into a corner if they start taking too much more territory.
I wonder how that came to be, though, because it seemed like Ukraine was running out of men.
I know.
They were running out of material. Did they get a sudden influx of tens of thousands?
I don't know. Ever since this Iranian thing's kicked off, Ukraine's been taking swaths of land. We got some comments over here. Turkey is a stable, powerful country in their neighborhood. Can't have greater Israel with that. Yeah. But I mean, if it all goes sideways, we saw the report they're buying up land in Argentina.
Yeah, that was probably one of the biggest disappointments that I've had in the last few weeks. Was I was seeing rumors that, well, okay, so about 2 months ago, there were large wildfires that swept through the Patagonia region in Argentina. And there was some internet scuttlebutt going on that Israeli citizens were kind of apprehended by local villagers, like hiking through the woods, and then suddenly there was a fire that destroyed a huge swaths of the Patagonia region, and they found these foreigners and hemmed them up and was like, "Who are you and what are you doing here?" And it turned out they were Israeli citizens. And then a little bit after that, I started seeing things online saying that Javier Milei, who's kind of the libertarian savior of the Argentine economy, just there was always he always was kind of like pro-Zionist or whatever, but now it's like just full mask off, and he's like, yeah, we're going to give a shitload of money and support to Israel during this wartime thing. And that's like, well, that's kind of weird coming from Argentina. What's the point of all of that? And then just yesterday, I saw that part of the fire-ravaged area of Patagonia is being set aside and sold to essentially create a micronation of 300,000 Israeli citizens. And I saw pictures in airplanes that it was just front to back, guys with the weird barrel hats and the twisty sideburn fucking whatever those things are. And it's like, yeah, we're on our way to Argentina. And why Argentina? Why Javier Milei? What do you get out of this? I don't understand it.
Yeah, and I saw like you said, when they had all those fires, there was people claiming that they saw Jews running around with their little hats on, I guess, and lighters, starting the fires in Patagonia. And for some, I didn't know this either, but I saw it when I was looking up stuff earlier. I guess Argentina is a popular location for Jewish people to take vacations at. I had no idea though. I don't know if they're drawn to the Germans that are hiding there or what, but it seems like a weird place for Jews to want to go to when it was rumored that there were so many Nazis hiding there.
I don't know, man. It's all so tiresome.
Yeah. I mean, we get in some domestic stuff here before we get too ran out. Bondi's gone. Pam Bondi's out.
Yeah, the celebration that I had when I heard that Pam Bondi was being fired was quickly extinguished when I heard that Todd Blanche is taking over, which is not really that big of a surprise, and I don't think it's going to be much of a change because the rumor was that Todd Blanche was basically running DOJ to begin with, and Pam Bondi was just the pretty face to put on Fox News. So, yeah.
So nothing will change with Epstein, probably.
It's things have changed with Epstein. He flat out came out and said that no more files will be released and none of the people in the files will be prosecuted or brought before a grand jury or anything. It's basically done and dusted now. Absolutely nothing else is going to be done. He was giving testimony, or not testimony. It was either testimony or an interview. I couldn't tell. But he was basically saying, like, having a party with Mr. Epstein is not a crime. Exchanging emails with Mr. Epstein is not a crime. And he was going on and on about, how it's like, well, there's no evidence that any impropriety was going on, so there's nothing that we can prosecute on. And I'm just like, I'm sitting there going like, when all of this is said and done, there will be a noose for you too.
Yeah. Goes by Palm Beach Pete now. Oh, I was going to mention that.
Oh, yeah.
The Palm Beach Pete guy. I mean, people have been going full internet artist on this. I guess somebody mapped out his. See, I got a weird. I got the weird teeth on the lower. I mean, somebody went so far as to look up how misaligned Epstein's teeth were, and I guess they match up perfectly to Palm Beach Pete. Palm Beach Pete has a stutter on words with F in it, which Epstein had also. Wouldn't it just? I mean, icing on the cake that Epstein would just do that and fuck you
Throw it in
guys.
your face.
Yeah, I'm right here, but I'm Palm Beach Pete.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's too weird to. I don't know. It's just one of those things.
We are in the midst of a humiliation ritual.
Yeah. Yep. Once again, he's just here. I am. I'm Palm Beach Pete, even though I look exactly like Epstein and have similar bite records and mannerisms. And he's not hiding either. It's not like he came out. He's going on podcasts and everything. This guy.
Yeah, and I saw a post on Facebook today where it's like, hey, this guy was just a regular dude 2 weeks ago, and now he's taking private planes, flying all over the country. He had a house in Palm Beach the same time Epstein did. He also has a place in Manhattan the same time that Epstein did. He looks exactly like Epstein. He has the same mannerisms as Epstein. It's like, again, if they can do this to you, what can they not do? Mm-hmm. If they can get away with this, what are you going to actually hold them to account for? And I'm not saying that this guy is Epstein.
I mean, the Jews have a limited gene pool. I mean, it's certainly possible that that's the guy.
Yeah.
We got some, let's see. Drives the same car, lives in the same house. Alex is saying Ed Martin is running for AG or Lee Zeldin.
Those two I would actually, well, I don't know about Lee Zeldin, but Ed Martin would be a good attorney general, and so would, Christ, I was going to bring this guy's name up, but I just completely blanked on it. He's the attorney general from Missouri. He's a good one, too.
Oh,
he's the
Hawley?
Guy. No, not Josh Hawley. He's a senator.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
There's an attorney general in Missouri right now, and he's the guy that sued the federal government about the government influencing social media platforms during the COVID, and he won. So he would be a good one too. And I heard that he was in the consideration, but that could just be red meat thrown out to the base, and we'll just get another, or they'll just keep on trucking with Todd Blanche. Because I've been hearing Ed Martin and this guy from Missouri since the inauguration, since the first fumble by Pam Bondi to do when the first like phase one with the influencers and the binders and the backlash that came after that.
Nobody liked Bondi. Even the people in MAGA were not a big fan of Bondi.
No, because she's a swamp creature. She's a gun grabber. She was awful, top to bottom. The only thing that she had going for her is that she was a pretty blonde.
Yeah, and people are saying that Tulsi might be the next one out.
You know, I got to say, out of all the people in this administration, Tulsi and RFK have been the only ones that haven't disappointed me yet. So, yeah, I bet those are the next two on the chopping block. Because apparently the entire purpose of the second Trump administration was to get my hopes up, me, personally, individually, me, and then just like disappointment after betrayal after disappointment. Fuck you, Dustin Hobbs in Nebraska. You are going to be disappointed for the rest of your life.
So you were really let down when the Kristi Noem news broke, probably then, huh?
No, my disappointment with her was her getting appointed to the position she did.
And I've talked about before, I've got friends that are active in South Dakota politics, and I have apparently nobody from South Dakota told Trump, don't do this, which John Thune, he should have known everything about her that was shady.
They did. That's why she was put into that position, was because she had compromat on her. And the only reason that it's coming out in the news right now is because they don't need it anymore.
Well, yeah, it can't be compromise though when it's public knowledge. Is the weird part. Her and
Yeah.
her side adventures with other men. Anybody in South Dakota I mean, anybody involved in that circle was aware of whisperings going on about Christy Nome that her husband was into big booba role play. That came out of left field though.
Yeah, the autogynephilia and bimbofication fetish was kind of like a ugh.
Which was I didn't get it. So he was paying big booba models and also wearing the thing, or was he just wearing the thing?
I don't know. And frankly, I don't want to know, because I don't want that shit in my search history.
I mean, the guy is married to Christy Nome. He's literally drowning for titties, apparently, that he was driven to such extremes. We got over here the Epstein cloning program may have bore fruit. Yeah, the Dow dropped below 50K, so they fired her.
Yeah, that was the threshold. The Department of Justice was hinging on the fucking Dow.
Okay. Yeah, that was a really dumb comment that she said. She had a lot of screw ups. That's why I think if Christy Nome gets out, it'll be because she resigns. I don't think she's had a single fuck up since she's been in there.
You mean Tulsi?
Or Tulsi, yeah, Tulsi, sorry.
No, but the thing is that apparently Trump is kind of chumming the water with the rest of his cabinet, being like, what would happen if we got rid of Tulsi at DNI? And apparently this is kind of one of his tactics when he's not pleased with somebody and he's going to let them go, as he starts getting, confirmation from the rest of the yes men in his cabinet. And apparently the main sticking point between him and Tulsi right now is the fact that after Joe Kent's resignation a few weeks ago, she refused to just outright condemn him in testimony in front
Which
of
I
Congress.
listened to that Tucker interview. I think that guy's legit.
Yeah, there's no reason to think he's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this would also coincide with another bit of huge news in the fact that 12 of the top generals at the Pentagon were let go recently.
Yeah, but were these DEI generals or what?
No.
Oh,
like
okay.
this is like the Army Chief of Staff, and these are guys with combat experience leading troops going all the way back to Desert Storm. So these, I mean, I'm sure that some of them were probably superfluous positions, because we have more generals now than we did in World War II, which, we have a very top-heavy military, and we do not need as many staff generals as we do. But the fact of the matter is, you're letting 12 experienced generals go on the eve of a potential ground invasion, including your Army Chief of Staff. Most people are saying that the reason they're doing this is because ground invasion has been, if not greenlit, it has been floated as an idea, and these generals came out and said, that's a stupid fucking idea. And so rather than listening to the men with the experience, they decided to boot these men and get yes men into position. So if this is the type of attitude that they're taking with military actions right now, firing Tulsi Gabbard on the basis of she didn't condemn Joe Kent for resigning on his own conscience, it tracks. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think if they get an extended ground war in Iran, you're going to end up with a Vietnam protest type situation going on.
Trump will go down in history as the worst president we've ever had.
Yeah, he's got 2 years to fucking figure this out, or that's the track he's going for.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of people speculating about about why he's doing this. And if you've seen, excuse me, if you've seen any of his recent appearances or whatever, the man is burned out.
Well,
He's
that's another conspiracy theory I saw. So, if Trump serves at least 2 years and has to step down for some reason, for health reasons, JD Vance can step in. It doesn't count as a term.
yeah.
So you could potentially have JD Vance running as an incumbent, even though he's not an incumbent. Um, I mean, it seems logical to me.
But if he expands, if he would take over for Trump, either for Trump having to resign or getting impeached after the midterms and removed by the Senate or taken out through a 25th Amendment, if you get JD Vance step in and he accelerates or stays the course on the military actions in the Middle East, there's no way he wins 28.
Mm-mm.
No way.
But, I've seen a lot of reports that he's been against this from the get-go.
Yeah. Which is part of the conspiracy theory that Trump does the unpopular thing. Vance comes out as the voice of reason. And then in 28, it would be like, this wasn't my idea. I didn't want anything to do with this. And if you vote for me, we'll draw everything down. Which, to me, seems a little cynical. But
why is that?
Well, you're going to be throwing billions of dollars of military material, soldiers' lives, just on the off chance that your campaign talking point of vote for me and I'll draw down what the president that I served under fucked up. That's a hell of a Hail Mary pass.
Yeah. But I mean, if it starts going sideways and Trump has to step down and he comes in and just winds the whole thing up in a nice little package, I mean, he's pretty much cemented his presidency at that point.
Yeah. But another thing that I've been hearing about is you see Trump, he's tired, he's burned out, he's starting to
the dude's old.
He's starting to get the Biden slur, honestly, where he's repeating things Trump always kind of repeats what he says, but he's getting to the point where you can tell that he's kind of slurring his words a little bit. He's burned out. I've heard rumors that he only sleeps about 2 to 2.5 hours every single night. He's taking everything onto his own shoulders, but the problem is that he's kind of in this bubble where he's relying on the people around him to feed him the information that he makes the decisions from. And he's surrounded by people like Susie Wiles and Paula White and Lindsey Graham and Mark Levin, and they're feeding him bullshit.
Yeah, he's actually aging this time. It seems like presidents step in there and age 10 years for every one. The first time he's in, it seemed like he didn't age a year.
No, he was in his element.
Yeah.
This time, though, it's taking its toll on him.
Yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, he's going to be 80, or did he just turn 79 or 80? He had a birthday coming up.
I think he turns 80 in June. His birthday's on Flag Day, which another one of those.
Yeah, birthday's in June. So yeah, he'll be. I mean, damn. I get tired after a long day at 47. I can just imagine being 80 and dealing with that crap.
I know.
Especially actually dealing with it instead of Biden, where you're just getting shuttled around eating ice cream and you got an
having
auto
other
pen.
People do it for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that he's shouldering the full weight of the presidency on his own shoulders, and he's making decisions that are based on bad information given to him by bad actors. And that's why we've seen this sudden shift from make America great again to make the Middle East a bomb crater again.
Even that dude's ego has got to be killing him, that he's going to be known as a shitty president over this thing.
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't think that he knows that. I think he watches Fox News and he listens to these worm tongues telling him that, oh, Mr. President, what you're doing is popular. It's going to be seen as the greatest thing ever. Regime change in Iran, bringing democracy back to Iran is going to be seen as a crowning achievement. It's going to be one of the greatest events in human history. And honestly, I think that the people that are telling him this, I think that what happened was after he almost got assassinated in Butler, he had the MAGA agenda, and I even said this at the time too. I'm like, that's it. This was an act of God. The MAGA agenda has the mandate of heaven. He's going to go in. He's going to close the borders. He's going to deport the illegals. He's going to levy the tariffs. He's going to do, all the stuff that he was campaigning on. That's it. Full steam ahead. And for the first 6 or 8 months of the term, that's what was happening. They were flooding the zone with everything that they wanted to do. ICE was expanded. ICE was funded. You had the tariffs going into place. You had just a full court press on the MAGA agenda. And then I think what happened was you get people like Paula White, Mark Levin, Jared Kushner. And they get in his ear and they say, no, Mr. President, you're thinking too small. Make America Great Again is too small. You were saved by God to usher in the return of the Messiah. You can make the world great again.
Yeah.
You are the vessel by which God will work through. And Trump's ego has always been his weak point. That's the best way to manipulate that man is to fluff his ego. And he went from make America great again to make the world great again as interpreted by a bunch of dispensationalist evangelical Zionists. And unfortunately, look at what happens now.
Well, and unfortunately, he wasn't familiar enough with his Bible to realize that God used the Persian Empire to bring down Babylon.
History doesn't repeat when it rhymes.
God may be using the Persian Empire to bring down another shitty empire if we're not careful.
Mm-hmm. Time is a flat circle.
Comment over here. The dude endorsed Jake Paul. I think he doesn't care anymore, big dog. Did you see that?
Yeah. But that could also be, just Trump glad-handing the way that he does. Like, oh, this guy's great. He's awesome. He'll make a great senator one day. Bada
Thought he
bing,
was
bada
one of
boom.
Ron Paul's kids, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, we're up over an hour. No show next week. I'll be gone. Hobbs, you might do something solo, or maybe you can get Lebanon John.
Yeah, I'll try
Come
and
on
get him.
Again for
maybe him or Nathan or somebody.
But yeah, thanks for joining us. Check us out, R2L, on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, R2L Pod at Twatter. On Twatter. Why do I screw that up? It's my thing, I guess. R2L Pod on Twatter, R2L on the Alex Jones store also.
Yep.
And thank you for joining us, and stay honky.